Vegeta came to Earth and awakened 2 new Super Saiyans. Now with Goku and Ruta having the transformation for themselves, where do they go from here? We'll cover all that and more in the 6th part of What If Goku Had a Twin. Not too long after, Raditz is brought back. Thankfully they are able to bring him back with the Dragon Balls and it doesn't take too long. He then learns that his 2 siblings became Super Saiyans. That's cool, but it also means Raditz is farther behind them now. But he does take pride in the fact that he was the reason for them going Super Saiyan. He'll just need to work for it himself now. Time goes by and we don't have a time traveler like normal. Goku doesn't end up getting the heart virus here. We don't know the actual source of the heart virus, but usually in my videos, I always use the assumption that it's latent within Goku and he got it from how he lived as a kid, since he was kind of like a wild animal on his own. So because of that, he won't have it here because he always grew up around Gohan and with Ruta. He had a cleaner lifestyle as a kid. Not completely, but enough where he wouldn't get this, if that is the case. Training-wise, what's the next step? Well, for Raditz, he wants to get ahead of his siblings, but them becoming Super Saiyans is ground for celebration, so he takes them to his favorite dive bar that he frequents, and buys them some drinks. Everyone at the bar recognizes Raditz too. This is kind of surprising for Goku and Ruta. Is this what he does with his free time? Truth is, Raditz has been pursuing strength and only strength these past few years. He will go here occasionally, but otherwise he doesn't really do much. He's a big drinker, and he owns a motorcycle that he loves and cares for, but otherwise he's not really doing much else. He spent so much of his time trying to get ahead of them, and yes, he has bettered himself, but he needs to go even further. And even though Raditz is on their side by now, they were never really close enough with him to even see this side of him. This is a good thing in their eyes. The 3 of them are only going to grow closer, and Raditz is going to grow stronger. The 2 of them definitely have changed him. Inadvertently at first, but now pretty much purposefully. He'll just get the form for himself, and then surpass the 2 of them. Even though Vegeta's dead, Raditz is basically the de facto Vegeta here. Of course, his relationship with them is very different, but the 3 of them view each other as rivals. Part of that is their common goals of growing stronger. Pretty much right after Vegeta's defeat, everybody completely focused on training. Ruta and Krillin wanted to have a kid, but then they ran into Raditz and knew that they had to fight more, so that would have been irresponsible. Now with Vegeta dead and seemingly no more crazy threats, they both take some time off fighting and do this. So Goku spends most of his time training with Raditz because Ruta does take some time off. Piccolo joins them too, and even Gohan at some points. Raditz is really curious what he's capable of, and he wonders what the true strength of a hybrid Saiyan is like. It looks like Gohan won't be the only hybrid Saiyan either. I've noticed usually when I do a scenario by making a new kid character, they never really get to do much in the story because of when they're introduced, plus the fact that I need to get all the original art and such. So, Krillin and Ruta do have a kid here, but she's going to be kind of glossed over a bit for now without original art too, just because obviously she won't be too relevant in the story at the moment. At some point I'll show a design for her and she'll have some art too, and she will be doing more. So, since Krillin and Marin's name are taken from the word chestnut, I'll just do the same here. We'll call her Casta, taken from the Italian word for chestnut. Pretty easy to remember, just Asta with the C in front of it. Although if the story goes into GT, she will be more relevant, so let me know if you're interested in continuation like that. I've only really done it like once before. So what happens with Raditz over this time skip? Does he really just train and do nothing else? Well, usually in my stories I just keep him as a bachelor. I don't really see anyone to pair him with, for the most part at least, and no, I'm not doing that one. But just to change things up, we'll do something different here and actually pair him with someone. Not right now, but you'll see what I mean. We already have one huge change with Krillin and Ruta, so we're going to balance it out with something else. You might think, well, why not pair Raditz with Bulma? I don't really see it happening. I would think, if anything, it's more likely that she ends up with Yamcha. That way we don't have to introduce a bunch of crazy ships, and it also means Yamcha was faithful here. He doesn't fumble this time. Even though there's no heart virus and no time traveler, that doesn't mean there's going to be no androids. They still show up, but since nothing was altered with the timelines, it goes as it should have. Androids 17 and 18 are the first ones to show up, attacking a city one day and causing a great chaos. The first one to arrive is Raditz. His bar is actually pretty close by. They do know who he is. They're actually looking for his siblings. So Raditz draws them out of the city and tries to raise his key so the others can sense him. Weirdly enough, he can't feel anything coming from these 2. And he has no clue who they are either. He knows nothing about the Red Ribbon Army. Soon enough, Ruta, Krillin, Goku, and Piccolo show up. This is around the point when Ruta's actually fighting again, so she's here. Right now, Goku's the strongest of the 3, with Ruta falling a little bit behind because of the time she took off, and she and Raditz are pretty much on equal footing right now. Krillin has a weird feeling that he should know who Android 18 is, and Ruta feels the same way about Android 17. Vice versa too. Anyways, Raditz is the first one to fight, fighting Android 18 in base. He tries to gauge her power, which is really tough when she has no energy to sense, but fighting her is the next best option, although she beats him pretty quickly. In base, at least. He gets back up. This makes him happy. He's gonna have an actual fight here. It's been a while. The last time they had a fight like this was against Vegeta. This should be an interesting battle. He pulls out a cigar to celebrate, holding up a finger to the cigar, lighting it as a golden aura surrounds it. That golden aura creeps up his arm, and with the cigar lit, Raditz places it in his mouth, taking a pretty strong pull from it, and when he lets it go, there's a big cloud of smoke and an aura around him. The bright aura around him blows the smoke away. Raditz is now a Super Saiyan. He's had this for quite some time now, His training with Piccolo and Goku has really helped out. And even though Ruta stepped away from fighting for a bit, Krillin did have to take some time off too, but he was training a bit with them, so he's seen this before. But he hasn't seen Raditz transform like this. He thinks that was a really cool entrance. And even Goku thinks it's creative. Ruta's just kind of tired of it. He's trying to be too flashy. Plus, that's the first time a Super Saiyan transformation smelled bad. His cheap cigar stunk it up. And he lets her know, this isn't a cheap cigar, it's one of the finest actually. It actually has some of the herbs that Roshi uses within it. As far as he knows, smoking this will keep him young forever. Although he's not exactly sure if that's how it works because apparently Roshi eats it, but it should be the same thing, right? Android 18 interrupts the bickering. Clearly they're not taking the android seriously. The fight between her and Raditz resumes. And she does really well too. For an Earthling, she's pretty powerful. By now, the other four have noticed the Red Ribbon Army logo, and Raditz doesn't realize that these two are androids. Since the Red Ribbon arc went so differently, Goku and Ruta don't actually realize this at first until they reveal it themselves. They just know these two are affiliated with the Red Ribbon Army. So she's not a regular Earthling. She stops holding back and takes the fight a little more seriously. She was only at about half strength there, and she's able to defeat Raditz single-handedly. While that fight was going on, Android 17 began his own fight with Goku. Their main targets were Goku and Ruta because they were the two who destroyed the army. Raditz is secondary, but he is their brother, so he kind of is a target as well. Same goes for Piccolo because he's an ally, and Krillin because he's married to one of them. Ruta goes Super Saiyan as well and fights Android 18. Piccolo joins in to help Goku, and Krillin joins in to help Ruta. The androids won't run out of stamina, and they actually are stronger than the two opponents they're facing respectively. Raditz probably shouldn't have taken on that fight alone, and he watches on. He just needs to catch his breath. The three of them also haven't mastered Super Saiyan yet. They could use it on command, and they have a really good control on it, but they are still all at Super Saiyan Grade 1. As Raditz is watching, he realizes that this is a losing battle, but he has an idea in the back of his mind. He's never really tried this out, but it might end up working if he really needs to do it, although it's really risky at the same time. It might not even work at all. But if it does work the way he plans, it might also be disastrous. The androids are clearly gaining ground. Android 18 then hits Krillin with a kick and sends him flying. He goes right back to where Raditz is. Raditz is powered back down into base trying to conserve energy, and he's trying to think of a plan. Krillin wonders why he hasn't jumped back in the battle yet. Is he really that injured and worn out? Raditz says now that he had some time to recover, he can jump back in the battle, but he actually was formulating a plan. It's a long shot, and he wants to get Krillin's opinion here since he can't ask anyone else. Raditz might not be the strongest of the group, but he views himself as a strategist, and Krillin is definitely the same way. So he asks him a simple yes or no question. Is this a life or death situation? Depending on Krillin's answer, that decides if Raditz should do something desperate or not. Krillin says he definitely thinks so, but why is Raditz asking that? It's because he'll need Krillin's help with this. He tells Krillin to help out with the aftermath. Okay, now Krillin's getting really worried. First, Raditz is asking a weird question, and now he's saying that there's going to be some sort of aftermath. He's going to have to explain further. Raditz then holds out a hand, charging a weird ball of energy in it. His power drops slightly, but not really significantly. It's been a while since he last did this, and given the huge amount of power he has now, it doesn't take as much strength this time. He tells Krillin this is an artificial moon. Once he activates this, he's going to transform into a Great Ape, and so will Goku and Ruta. The thing is, he knows his siblings have never gone Great Ape and controlled it. Raditz is the only one that can. He tells Krillin to make sure the other two don't look at the moon. Otherwise, they'll go on a rampage, and they won't be able to do anything. This form is actually way weaker than Super Saiyan. So, why is Raditz transforming into it? Shouldn't he just go Super Saiyan instead? Well, yeah, that's what Raditz plans to do. He's had a theory for a while, but never really tested it out. The Super Saiyan transformation and the Great Ape transformation are separate, and it makes him wonder if the two could be combined somehow. From what Raditz knows, Great Ape will just boost his strength tenfold. But if he combines that with the power of Super Saiyan, and it actually ends up working, he could become so strong that he'll defeat both the androids at once. It's a huge risk that could have a huge reward. He just needs Krillin to make sure Ruta and Goku are safe. And also, make sure the androids don't go after his tail. They probably don't know about that, but just in case. He wants to make sure it's protected. And he tells Krillin one more thing. Don't look at Raditz when he de-transforms. He's gonna have to take his clothes off here because otherwise they're gonna be destroyed and he'll be completely naked. Another reason why he doesn't want Goku and Ruta transforming. He doesn't want to see that. Alright, Krillin looks away and notes that. He's not gonna look. Raditz throws the moon up in the air and then transforms into a Great Ape. Obviously the androids notice this, and so do Goku and Ruta. But Krillin flies over to them, telling them not to look. The two of them are pretty badly beaten, being held up by the androids, and then they're just dropped to the ground below. But they do what Krillin says, and they close their eyes. Piccolo and Krillin can at least look, and so can the androids. They actually don't have much info about that form that Raditz is using. But he's just a bigger target now, so it should be easy to fight him. They can't tell if he's stronger like this or as a Super Saiyan, but either way, they're not going to back down just because he's huge now. Then Raditz tries something new. He hasn't used Great Ape in so long, but now he tries to use Super Saiyan on top of it. And even with his control on Great Ape, he can't handle this. He actually is able to transform. His fur turns golden. And it's really stressful and takes a lot of focus, but it ends up working. He becomes something completely new, a golden Great Ape. Goku and Ruta can't look, but they can sense what's happening, with Piccolo and Krillin explaining to them. The androids try and attack him, but they can't do anything. He's rampaging, so he can't control his attacks, but he's also not injured by them at all. And when he fights back, these attacks are really devastating, especially with them being uncontrolled. Basically, with a single punch, he takes both of them out at once, getting both of them with his fist and then slamming them into the ground, knocking them unconscious pretty much immediately. Raditz then starts rampaging in place. Krillin quickly creates a Kienzan, activates Kaioken to fly over to Raditz and get a blind spot, and then catches him off guard and cuts his tail off, apologizing as he does so. Raditz then de-transforms, going back to his base form, and he's also naked. Krillin looks away, but brings Raditz his clothes. He's unconscious on the ground now, and he wakes up next to his clothes, and a senzu bean right next to him. He takes it, and he's instantly healed, and his tail does grow back. Krillin actually didn't know if Raditz's tail was going to grow back or not, but basically as an apology for cutting his tail off, this way he does it instantly. And it's good he did it here, because otherwise Raditz wouldn't have grown it back. The wound was fresh, so the senzu bean regenerated it. Raditz gets up and clothes himself, and then reunites with his group. They still can't believe what they just saw. Like, that was pretty insane. Goku and Ruta, of course, want to get this for themselves too, but Raditz explains what it was like. He completely lost all sort of reasoning there. He went on an insane rampage. He could feel the power coursing through him, but he couldn't control any of it. He didn't even really know what was going on, which is why he was unconscious when he de-transformed. And it's a good thing he took his clothes off, because he didn't want to destroy his favorite jacket and his favorite chain. That's besides the point. Towards the end, though, he felt a weird change within himself too. Almost like he gained some sort of sense of self back, but not fully. Now he sees how incredibly risky this is, but he sees that it does work too. And it makes him wonder, can he combine the power of these two and actually master it, completely controlling it too? Because look at how powerful that just was. He could go even further. He knows what he must do now. The androids are still alive, but they're in pretty bad condition. They won't die, they're just not going to be able to fight right now. Raditz's power was absurd, but he was still uncontrolled and didn't finish it. He just hit them with a single attack. So he walks over to the fist-shaped crater that they're stuck in right now. He tells them he'll pay it forward and spare them. Honestly, he wishes he had a Saiyan and Vegeta situation when he died before, but he couldn't really do anything there, nor could Goku and Ruta. But Goku and Ruta did spare him, and maybe he needs to learn how to not be so brutal, especially after what he just did in that form. Maybe this is a step in the right direction, but he has no clue. Maybe Vegeta did deserve what came to him, but Raditz wonders if he could have been redeemed. It's a shame he decided to take himself out with everyone else. Had he gone down some sort of different path, maybe that wouldn't have happened. Maybe he would have just been defeated and taken it. But it seems he became way too obsessed and way too prideful, and he couldn't accept an embarrassing loss a second time. He lets the androids go. Maybe he'll see Vegeta again someday, but as for the androids, he'll give them another shot at living. If they fight again, it's just going to be a repeat of Vegeta, and with whatever power he gains next, they will be stopped. And of course, after seeing that power, Goku and Ruta want to go for it too. Raditz asks Krillin if he has another senzu bean, and he has a few left. He takes one, splits it in half, and gives one piece to each of the androids. He tells them to do with that info what they must. But just know if they waste this gift from Raditz, next time he will kill them for good. Goku and Ruta clearly see Raditz has grown in power, but more so in terms of how he is as a person now. It makes Goku pretty happy. He would be happy about this regardless, but especially because he wanted to spare Raditz, and the fact that he actually was redeemed, it's nice. While Saiyans aren't close with their family, Goku's glad that he, Ruta, and Raditz have a great relationship. They're all basically friends with each other, and rivals at the same time. With that, we leave off here for now. What do you guys think about this part and what's going to happen next? Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel and shows me you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.